Donald Trump is going to be appearing in a federal court charged with mishandling national security files that were found at his Mar-a-Lago home. Mo Kelly is a US journalist covering this and joins us right now from Los Angeles. Good morning to you, Mo.
Good morning, Julie. Nice to be back with you.
Lovely to talk to you again. I mean, I think we're probably going to talk on many occasions whenever Donald Trump is arraigned in court on the latest charges. Now, he's been in civil court over this claim that which he was judged to have been by the court to have committed the sexual assault against a US journalist. We've also seen him in a court in New York over other charges. These are, let's face it, the most serious charges against him, federal charges over basically mishandling national security files. Talk us through exactly what the charges against him are.
Sure. There are 37 felonies which are alleged for illegal retention, obstruction in the attempt to retain those documents, retrieve those documents, and then also accused of allegedly showing them to a third party who was unauthorized to see this national security material of a very sensitive nature. It's very serious, and only one felony conviction could put him in jail for quite some time. I can't overestimate the amount of jeopardy that this former president is facing.
Well, this is, we've seen whenever he faces any other charges, he seems, this is a witch hunt, it's a load of rubbish, and then he gets loads more donations to help fight his court case, and he goes up in the polls extraordinarily among his Republican sort of band of warriors who are sticking by him. But as you say, this is very different, because this is about classified documents. This is about documents he should not have had, information including some about nuclear secrets. Even a die-hard Trump fan is going to start worrying about, about the concerns there, because this is the sort of thing that they would have accused, Hillary Clinton of, and anyone else, really, wouldn't they, if they were an opponent? And this is the thing. There's also, statements from people, that he discussed these statements with people, that he knew they were classified. This ridiculous claim he'd made when these documents were first found and seized by the FBI in Mar-a-Lago was, I declassified these files. I can declassify any file. I was president. I could just think it and they'd be declassified. Well, there's a tape of him saying, he knew they weren't declassified.
Yeah, and he's his own worst enemy. And for someone who's not privy to what's in the indictment, if you read the indictment, all of the evidence which is being featured in the indictment either came from statements related to Donald Trump, his former lawyers, or people who worked at Mar-a-Lago, people in his inner circle. So this is not evidence which is being unearthed, quote unquote, by the FBI. These are people in his circle who have either offered up testimony or they've been subpoenaed and they've given testimony, but it's all from Donald Trump's circle or his mouth himself.
Yeah, I mean, we go back to the trial we know he's going to face in March next year in New York over campaign finance. And this, of course, involving the Stormy Daniels case, or whether or not there's campaign finance, was money, campaign funds were basically given as hush money to the former porn star who he was also dating. That a lot of people have claimed as that was a trumped-up thing, for a better phrase, that was, a very much a Democrat, judge and Democrat court and Democrat prosecutor in a Democrat state, and although Donald Trump's home state, that this is all a political campaign. It's less easy for him to claim that when it comes to what's happening in Florida and what's happening in terms of these federal charges, isn't it?
Yes, because this is going to be tried in Florida, and most likely it will fall under the jurisdiction of a Trump appointee. So it's one thing to say that the charges are trumped up or they're political charges, but the evidence is pretty extensive, at least in terms of what's in the indictment, and there's probably more which is going to be at trial. And unlike the case you referenced in New York, these charges are solid in the sense of they meet the elements. There's really no discussion of whether these charges are appropriate for what is being alleged. And I can't overstate here that these are very serious, and he is in legitimate trouble. And that's saying nothing of the fact that at this moment, Donald Trump does not have legitimate counsel, as his top two attorneys had resigned just days ago. And so this arraignment tomorrow, or I should say later today, may be delayed because he needs to have competent counsel to represent him.
Indeed. Well, that's interesting. It's fascinating. It's been reported that Donald Trump is going to sell £80,000, that's $100,000, private candlelit dinners to donors at a fundraising reception. It's going to be held just hours after his court appearance today. I mean, that's some chutzpah, isn't it?
It is, but he's making a political argument. He's making a publicity argument. He's not making a legal argument. And whereas, like you said, his base has been solid. No one has deserted him, not even on the Republican side of the aisle. But this is not something which is going to sustain him in a court of law, which is going to be judged on the facts. He's trying to talk to two different audiences. He's trying to talk to his supporters, and he's also trying to send a message to potential jurors as they would be used on the jury.
Indeed. Really good to talk to you, Mo Kelly. It'd be lovely to talk to you after we've actually seen what happens at arraignment hearings. Still talk about whether they'll be paraded in handcuffs. That didn't happen in New York, obviously. But coming back to you, Sam Armstrong, I mean, the cases keep mounting. It's one after the other, isn't it? He's going to be spending his next entire year dealing with these court cases. Yeah, but what Trump shows is a bit like what Boris showed, which is the damage of a scandal is in the shame that you feel and display outwards. If you say, I don't care, push through it, just say, look, this is a witch hunt, this is a disgrace, the public actually think, you know, those that didn't like you before don't like you then. Those that like you, they agree with you. The Republican base that he's got, they will stand by him, but it's the floating voters, it's the middle who basically decide elections who will have the final say. More on that throughout the day here on TalkTV.